America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It is a pleasure to have the ED students present the buddy program. So I'd like to introduce the presenters, Serafina Franco, Addison Gold, Jack Soy, and Ashley Lundberg. So Serafina, it's all yours, and the rest. Want to come up? Unless Lauren, unless the principal wants to say a few words, of course they're all welcome. I really short.
Thank you, Principal Hernandez.
Oh, thank
Good
you.
evening.
Thank you. And I don't know how to turn this on. There we go. Thank you for having us. We do have more than that presenting tonight. I hope that's okay. We have 11 sixth graders who are super proud of their school and can't wait to share about our buddy classes. And I just want to give a shout out to all of our Evans Eagles and their families that came tonight. We're small, but we're mighty. So here they come.
Good evening, and thank you for having us present our buddy program. I'm Mira Sen, and presenting with me is Jazzy Thomas, Alexis Dornup, Sophia Gaza, Arden Bosman, Nyla Denmola, Jackie Soy, Rocky Bosman, Ashley Lomberg, and Serafina Franco.
The goal of the buddy classrooms is to create bonds between older students and younger students. The older students become role models for these younger students.
Speak right into the mic or they're not going to hear you.
The goal of the buddy classrooms is to create bonds between older students and younger students. The older students become role models for these younger students. We have created buddy classes along with a schedule of monthly activities.
On September 30th, it was our first buddy day this year. We did a buddy interview, which we got their names, their favorite color, their favorite foods, and how many siblings they had or if they had siblings. Then we went outside and we had ice pops with our buddies. Afterwards, we played with our buddies games or played on the playground. On Halloween, we had a snack with our buddies and we built a picture frame with them, and the picture frame with the buddy pairs inside hang on the hallways. During the month of November, buddy classes got together to make cards for local veterans. These cards were then delivered to the VFW in Wappingers Falls. During the month of December, buddy classes got together to play games. Some games that we played with our buddies were Monopoly, Sorry, and Puzzles. On January 20th, we did a buddy up and read. We read with our buddy, we made a bookmark, and we listened to what we got. We also got to wear our pajamas. In some classrooms, set up a fake little fireplace.
During the month of February, buddy classes worked together to create crafts for our local nursing home residents. These crafts were delivered to Wingate at Beacon and Wingate at Dutchess. During the month of March, we are gonna buddy up and plant with our buddies. And during the month of April, we are gonna It's Earth Day and we're gonna read and do Earth Day crafts and we're gonna read the Lorax.
In the month of May, we'll do a nature scavenger hunt, and in June, we'll have a school-wide picnic with our buddies.
Thank you all for listening. We love our school.
Excellent. Yeah. I'm proud of all of you.
Thank you.
It's great.
Thank you.
Lori,
Thank you.
excellent job. Dr. Bach wants to make a short but brief comment.
Now, I know the students are going to help me with this, and I know they know this well, and I want to hear it loud and I want to hear it proud. Evans Eagles.
Soar!
All right. Keep soaring. Fantastic work. We're very proud of you.
5.01, public comments on agenda items. Please stand up in front if you want to speak on agenda items. Or non-agenda items, I'm sorry. Did anybody stand up? Alberta? No, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to listen to public comment. Although state law does not require us to hold a public comment period, we have chosen this because we believe it's crucial for us to hear from our community members about their concerns and issues. The board is here to listen. The public comment period is not designed to be a debate or dialogue. We do not expect the board to respond to your concerns and questions tonight. We take your concerns and questions seriously and want to have sufficient time to process and research issues, if need be. Any question from the public should be submitted to the user public comment form, which be obtained online or at the desk with the district clerk. We will have the proper staff member get back to you as appropriate. Also want to point out that the state and federal privacy laws, we are unable to address any comments or questions about specific students or school personnel. We would ask you to go through the appropriate administrative channels. A total 30 minutes at the beginning of this board meeting is set aside to allow for public comments on agenda items only. Public comments at the beginning of the meeting is limited only to the items of the agenda. Persons who wish to participate in the public comment portion of the meeting are asked to provide their name and a specific agenda item about which they will speak. A sign-up sheet is located at the desk with the district clerk. Enter comments and agenda items is limited to 3 minutes and are welcomed. If you wish to address items related to a school district that are not on tonight's agenda, the non-comment period is provided at the end of the meeting for that purpose. A second sign-up sheet is available for non-agenda items. In the interest of civility and respect for different points of view, clapping, booing, or any disturbance or disruption during either the public comment period is not permitted. At this time, there are no, anybody set up, Alberta? No. Okay, seeing none. 5.02, communication announcements received by the Board of Education.
Yes, the science fair was wonderful as usual. Every year, the students do wonderful independent projects and research interesting things that appeal to them. It was very nice to talk with the different students and hear them explain what they discovered. Some of the things I had not considered before, and I learned something with them. Oliver Jr. at Van Wyck School was also a terrific production. It's hard to believe that they're only in 7th and 8th grade. It was of a high school quality, and everyone is to be congratulated.
Great.
Yes, we were lucky enough to go down to All County. Thank you. We were able to go down to All County to watch the Boise Ketchum girls basketball team play in the Section 1 semifinals. They did not get to go to the finals, but those girls fought a very hard, very good match. And it was always exciting to watch them play. I was honored all season to be able to get quite a few games, and those girls really had a lot of heart. Also, I saw Oliver Jr. and Miss Kellen is right. That production was amazing. I was very fascinated with the set. It was very well done. And this past weekend, I was able to attend Mean Girls, and as always, our high schools put on an amazing production. And the screen that they were able to rent, I hope someday we'll be able to put those in all of our secondary schools for the productions. Those would be wonderful. And then just a little side note, we just saw Evans Last week, I was able to do my favorite thing in the district, and that's be a mystery greeter at Evans Elementary. Once an Eagle, always an Eagle, and that's what I was. So I will say that it's always a great thing to go there. Thank you.
Cheryl?
I was able to get to several events over the last 2 weeks. In terms of the arts, I absolutely loved the way that our students prepared for Oliver at Van Wyck and Mean Girls at RCK. We have some extremely talented performers and crew people. Students all did an excellent, excellent job. I also had the opportunity to spend some time with Mrs. Bonnie King at the John Jay Music Cafe. It was a very nice program over at John Jay with several music groups performing. That's right, Mr. Lumia missed the wonderful desserts. With sports, I also went down to the county center to see our girls play, and they played their hearts out. We are very, very proud of the way they played this season. And over the past 2 weekends, I've been getting nonstop updates on my phone from NISFA over all of the state championships. And I would like to congratulate RCK students Connor Hitt, who placed 4th in the 1500 meters, and Abby Kowalczyk, who placed 9th in the 3000 meters at the state indoor track meet. And John Jay's Jason Canto, who scored the Division I high series in the state bowling championships. And I also had the chance to be a mystery reader in this past week. I went to Fishkill Plains on Monday. I took my son with me, and we read to the classroom where he was in 2nd grade many years ago to his 2 teachers. And we also ran into his 3rd grade teacher who issued an invitation. And so I went back on Thursday and read to the 3rd grade class.
Keith?
I just wanted to make a comment on the plays that I did attend. One thing that stood out was the playbills. It's almost like when you're on Broadway. So they did put a lot of time and effort, and a lot of kudos go to the people on stage, but also the parents and all the volunteers behind the scenes. And I also was able to attend the All County Festival that was held at Van Wyck. The kids had to audition, and it was great. It was just like being at the Metropolitan Opera without the travel. So, congratulations to those.
John?
Thank you, Mr. Lumia. Echoing a lot of what's been said already, I think we also want to mention at the state level competition, the poor kids had to go to Buffalo, which I don't know why anybody would want to do that, but if you qualify for a state meet, I guess you'd go. No, I have the floor. Anyway, we had multiple gymnasts from the district team qualify and compete at the state meet that represents us very well. Oliver was previously performed at Van Wyck Junior High School. I have inside information on that through years ago. And several members of the cast from years ago were messaging back and forth, and we're very excited to see the current cast and crew and directors do such a great job. And while you might think that I was biased towards the previous production, this one really stood out and was tremendous, even compared to the way that I remember the previous one. Thank you very much for your time.
Anyone else? All right. Congratulations to the Winter 22-23 Wabash Central School District athletic teams on receiving New York Scholar Athlete recognition. Following the John Jay and RCK boys and girls, basketball, and bowling, cheerleading, indoor track, and wrestling. WC Central School District boys swimming, W Central School District girls gymnastics, and WC Unified bowling. Secondly, said congratulations to John Jay and RCK, where 2 of 21 schools who competed in the Duso Math League. The team consists of 5 members, You have to answer 6 questions per meet over 5 meets from October to February. The questions I know are impossible because I remember you tried those questions. I couldn't answer all 6 of them. Nonetheless, of the 50 to 60 teams, the top 21 scoring teams are invited to the sectionals. 4 teams from the Wabash Central School District qualified. On March 8th, the sectionals were held at Vassar. John Jay A team won first place, while John Jay B and RCK B team tied for 3rd. So congratulations to the students and respective coaches, Tadeus Herman and Holly Siebert. The board wishes to congratulate 50 students who have been going to the Science Olympiad. 50 students are from Benoit Junior High School. The Olympiad will be held at Syracuse. Congratulations to everyone involved in the production of Mean Girls, the actors, the choreography, the sets were incredible. The singing was exceptional. The musicians could be part of any Broadway picked. All I can say is the audience witnessed a Broadway production. Last but not least, as has been mentioned, Pippin at Benoit Junior High School was also excellent. And if you saw it, you said the kids were exceptional. John Jay's going to be very fortunate to have those kids perform in Presidio. And with that, the next item on the agenda, BOCES presentation. Matt? Oh, Superintendent, sorry, there's one prior to Matt, Superintendent report. It's all you, I was not getting the hook, that's why.
Boy, President Lumia, you gave me the hook before I even started.
I know.
That's got to be a record. As you've heard over the past 20 minutes or so, members of our Board of Education have extended their gratitude for the work of all of our students. And all means all. And I think it's important to take an opportunity here to say thank you to all of our students who have participated in the myriad of programs, services, and extracurricular activities that we as a school district provide. That will continue. I'm going to take an opportunity to share with you a brief video that was aired throughout New York State by Spectrum News. It has to do with the return after the pandemic. I think many of us recall how challenging the pandemic was, and it impacted some people worse than others. We have to be cognizant of that as we move forward. We need to be here to support our staff and to support our students and provide our students with the necessary services and programs that not only do they need, but that they deserve. So I would ask you to view this video. It happens to be from John Jay High School. It involves a student and a guidance counselor, a school counselor. As you will recall, over the past 2 years, we have added 12 positions in the areas of student mental health services and wellness. They are much needed. And this will give you an idea as to not only what is going on within our schools, our high schools at John Jay, Royce, Ketchum, and Orchard View Alternative High School, but also our middle schools and our elementary schools. We have a lot of work to do, and this is an example of it. Mr. Schouten, if you could roll that, please. Thank you.
It's been 3 years since the COVID-19 pandemic forced New York schools to shut down and move online. Despite the time that's passed, students are still feeling the effects of being away from in-person learning for so long. Our John Camera has been speaking with a high school senior about what she's missed over that time. John, thanks for joining us here this evening.
Good evening, Marissa. These students didn't just miss time to socialize with friends and teachers, they also missed valuable extracurriculars, which could be used to help them get into colleges or inspire them into a future career.
This is our project we're doing for Lit right now.
4 years ago, Sydney O'Connor says she couldn't wait to start high school.
You're coming along with all of your friends, and the teachers are super welcoming.
She was just starting to enjoy ninth grade. Then COVID happened.
So everyone was treating it as a spring break, and then, the more time went on, it got less and less exciting.
Sydney says she rolled with the punches as classes shifted online, then hybrid, and then fully back. But she says getting sick in the middle of all of it was a challenge.
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is last year I did get sick right before the AP exam schedule in May. So I did have to retake 5 AP exams a month later, which was definitely not fun.
O'Connor and her classmates at John Jay High School weren't alone in facing new obstacles to overcome. According to data from the National Center for Education Statistics, 84% of public schools nationwide agree that students' behavioral development had been negatively impacted by the pandemic.
I just love helping students find the spark.
Elizabeth Keating is a guidance counselor at the school. She says she's seen this toll firsthand.
There's been learning gaps. We went to this virtual format and platform, and students didn't have the in-school support that many need for success and to be able to do well in school.
Keating also serves as a college career readiness counselor. She says in addition to kids being behind in classes, they were also missing extracurriculars that could help them once they graduate high school.
I have students who maybe would have liked to have taken a construction course or metals course just to see what that was like, but we were virtual. We weren't able to do that. We have students who maybe were interested in musical theater, but because our productions were shut down due to COVID, they didn't have the ability to do that.
Sydney says she's made the most of her opportunities during these last 3 years, and she's ready to take on college and a career.
So I would say that people are going to come in to college with a resume that they built based off their passions. So I know a lot of people did really incredible work in athletic fields and became really amazing athletes when they had all that time off. I kind of started my own tutoring business during that time. So everyone kind of found their own passions during the lockdown.
Keating says that Wappinger Central School District hired mental health workers to help students. It's something that we've seen from schools across upstate. Marissa?
Really interesting perspective, John, because I know when this first happened, we talked a lot about seniors in high school and everything that they missed. But it's interesting to hear from somebody who was just a freshman when all this started and really is still ongoing. That's our John Cameron reporting for us. John, thank you so much for that.
Thank you again, Mr. Schouten. So again, I would just like to remind all, we've got a lot of work to do. We need to be there for all of our students. We need to support them. A key word that was utilized by that student in there is passion. We have to find out what their passions are and we have to support them in their passions. That's all students, and all means all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bunk. Next item on the agenda is on BOCES budget presentation. I'd like to welcome Superintendent Jason Bing, and of course the presenter, Mr. Matt Metzger.
Good evening, Superintendent Bach and members of the Board of Trustees. I'm Matt Metzger, School Business Official for Dutchess BOCES, and I'm here tonight really to present the administrative budget. I do want to
interrupt Matt, but Dr. Bach, I just got a tweet from ESPN. Jets have acquired Lamar Jackson and Aaron Rodgers. They're going to have a healthy competition for the quarterback position.
Are you, you're not being serious? Is this part of your presentation?
It is not.
So I just want to personally thank some of the board members that came up and took the tour of the BOCES facilities a few months ago. It was appreciated that you came up and looked at our new building. This is, it came around quick again. I'm here again presenting the administrative budget. This is the piece that the districts get to vote on. That's why it's important to get out in front of you and to discuss it. It's a similar presentation from last year. I did add another slide, which I think Wappingers would kind of appreciate, but we're going to move pretty much to the same format. I always like to talk about the three, budget quarter categories. You have the administrative, the capital, the programs and services are everything we really think of when we think of BOCES, special ed, career and technical institute, things like that. I'd like to remind everybody that we don't have a fund balance when we close our books at the end of the year. The revenues less expenditures. We determine the proration that goes back to the districts and that's return. And I also just like to remind everybody that there's a great incentive to do business with BOCES because there's state aid that's generated as well. Quick look at our budget in total, approximately $100 million. We see that the administrative is about 2% of it. The retiree health is about 5%, and the capital rental is about 1.2. You can see the largest piece of us is really special ed. And certainly there's Career and Technical Institute as well as a large piece of the pie. So when we look at the budget this year for the administrative piece, this is, superintendent, my business office, the administrative team. What appears to be very good news, we're down, almost 9% from budget to budget, the expenditure side. I would like to highlight the transfers and interbud charges line that's there. So we've recognized that the administrative budget is basically, it's strictly the component districts that have to contribute to this, and that's the 13 districts in Dutchess County. And what we realize is that we do work for school districts that are outside of Dutchess County. They could be in Ulster or Putnam. And it doesn't seem fair that they don't get to chip into the administrative piece of this. So what we do is when we do a contract that's with one of these non-components, we're basically adding a 10% administrative fee, and we're collecting that money. And then through a lot of interfund transfers, now that doesn't entirely make up that amount because there's a lot of other transfers going both ways between all the programs and BOCES. But we recognize that if we can take an admin fee on those other programs and bring it back in, it does help this budget. When we look at the retiree piece moving forward, we actually have a decrease here as well. You've seen two good slides with decreases, but I'll show you that my real problem's on the revenue side. But that being said, there's been the Health Insurance Consortium has really been right-sizing the Medicare plans. We have 320 retirees at BOCES. 90% of them are on the Medicare plan. They're 65 and older. So this is a considerable savings for us. And, DHEC is probably going to do this over the next, I think that we're going into our second year. So they're going to continue to right-size this hopefully for the next 2 years, which will be a win for us. And when we put the retiree health together with the admin, we're going to see a decrease on the expenditure side of just under 8%. When we look at our revenue source for this, obviously the 13 component districts make up the majority of it. You're contributing to this. And as I've mentioned in the past, we had a retiree accrual that 10 years ago was overfunded. We're trying to get that down to 1 year. So you can see that that's going from 2.1 to 1.7. Now we're down to, it's not all that revenue, but for the most part, you can see the decrease in that line. So we'll be weaned off this by the time I present to you this next year. We'll be down to our 1 year level. So you can see that we've lost some other revenue to fund this, and that's why the good news that appeared on the negative side of the budget is really still we need to collect about 6% more from the districts moving forward. So when we look at the capsule for Wappingers this year, we continue to see in our WADA in the county that's decreasing. I think it went down by 4%, over 4% in total from last year to this year. And Wappingers is trending just a little bit higher than I think you were about a 5% decrease from the previous year. So you're going to see when we cut that pie up for your contribution, you actually have to contribute a little bit less this year. So what this turns out for the administrative side is an increase of just under 5% or 65,000 more from the previous year. I'd like to speak to the capital and rental. We're out of alternative high school on Route 44. We're delighted we have our new facility. So you can see that the rent has really dropped right off. You do see that there's still $75,000 there. That's because we do still have programs in district, and BOCES pays those districts for those in-district classes, so that's down quite a bit. And then when we look at the capital, we can see that about 2 years ago, we dropped that to $250,000. We realized that you were really in your third year of funding the big capital project, the $36.8 million one. So, and we didn't have a lot of other projects going on, quite frankly, at the time, because we were concentrating on that. We returned that to the $600,000 last year. And now we're asking for an additional $400,000 there to bring that up to $1 million contribution for everybody in the county. We did lose a couple alternates from the project. We need to have one of the parking lots paved that got cut. Our print shop renovation was eliminated, and there was some kitchen equipment that we lost. And also, we just really need to do some work on our existing buildings because they really need a little tender loving care right now as well. Similarly here, though, we see a lot of the same, a decrease from last year of $36,000. Basically, it's the savings in the rent. Always like to give you a little, summary of the surplus on Wapager's book of business. So roughly returned about $800,000 in surplus, and you generated $3.2 million in state aid. I will turn this over to Jason. He can talk to some of our programs and your participation. And you'll also notice there'll be some slides at the end, really the before and after the capital project, but really just an exciting time up there. It's nice to have everything on one campus, and the facility where the space is really great. We even had a nice conference today. I think Jason will speak to that, so I'll turn it over to you.
Evening all, thank you for having us, and it's always nice to see the arts alive and well in Wapager's, much appreciated. And as Matt noted, thank you for your support of the capital project. It was a long process, and Matt knows that more than anyone. We truly appreciate your support on that. So we've been baseball carding all of our components, just giving them a brief summary of where they are in BOCES. We give one at the start of the year, mid-year, and we'll give one at the end. So currently right now, Wapager's is at 37 special and alternative education students. That's 20 Salt Point Center, 8 in the alternative high school. That's 7 in district, and 2 in our Pegasus, which is our life skills program. And we have about 87 in our Career and Technical Institute. We have 16 in auto technology, 11 cosmetology, 11 electrical trades, 7 introduction to health occupations, 5 early childhood, and 37 in a variety of other programs. We'll give you another update at the end of the year as well. Right now, obviously, it's legislature time, trying to get a budget passed at the state level. So I did want to give you just a quick overview of the BOCES advocacy over at the state capitol. 1, they want to support stable funding for districts. Number 2, expand access to career and technical education. 3, maintain BOCES out-of-state services. 4, address the critical workforce shortages. 5, ensure universal access to school meals. And 6, support and promote access to mental health services. So we'll continue to advocate for those things. Obviously, I always thank Dr. Bonk, so I want to thank the board as well for your continued support and always flexibility in regards to programming. I'm meeting with your high school students at WCSD Ketchum for a second time, I believe on Thursday, to discuss the industrial manufacturing technician boot camp program. It's a portable program we'll be bringing to schools around the county, which will train students for entry-level jobs in the manufacturing industry. We're using Tooling U online course system along with a virtual simulation system that was just purchased that will enable students to virtually practice tasks they would do on the manufacturing floor and also master those tasks without actually having to purchase, 1, the equipment, which, as you all know, you're looking at starting at about $100,000 for most of the equipment on the manufacturing floor, and 2, without the liability. When they're doing it virtually, we don't have to worry about them getting hurt, and we usually put a student right next to them just in case they get too engaged in the 3D virtual simulation, just to keep them safe. So we'll be running that boot camp for about 3 months. We're also partnering with the Council of Industry around that as well, and we put in some field trips to local industry. So along with the training, we're hoping to connect students with jobs in the manufacturing field after they're finished with the boot camp. As I know Dwight has mentioned, that he's got on the tour. Just from on-semi semiconductors alone, you're looking at around 1,500 jobs available over the next 2 to 4 years. And over the next 5 to 10 years in our county of Dutchess, which I believe will be the manufacturing hub of the state sooner than later, you're looking at thousands of jobs in that field under a variety of different areas, whether that's logistics, distribution, actual engineering side of the house. There will be thousands of jobs. So I'm excited that Wappingers is moving full force forward to helping your students acquire those jobs. And obviously, as a BOCES, we'll work to support that and support the county in regards to making sure there's a pipeline to students to have careers. So again, we appreciate your support for the capital project. I'll turn it over to Mr. Metzger, and thank you as always.
Just, we did add this slide this year. This is really of your book of business, 18.7 million with the BOCES, and kind of we broke down in kind of the larger categories of where your spend is. And we drew in some pictures, really just a complete transformation up there on campus. If you haven't got to see it, it really is quite amazing and a really nice space. And things that the alternative high school didn't have before: a gymnasium, a cafeteria, and a library. And we just want to remind everybody that there'll be an exposition on April 15th. It starts at 9:30. We'll have the ribbon cutting, and then we'll have opportunities to tour the facility. And if you really wanted to, you could listen to this speech again, because I'll be doing that at the meeting. So happy to take any questions that you might have.
We're also able to confirm the CIA for the honors practice this year. Nancy did the final walkthrough of confirmation, so if you have it at the Culinary Institute, it should be a good for that.
Marie?
Yes. I was one of the lucky ones that got to go. You got stuck with 3 of us all at once and nobody else, so we got to monopolize you guys on that final tour. Thank you very much. Ms. Kellen, myself, and Dr. Bonk were able to go to Lobby Day with 2 of your representatives. I believe it was Ralph and Gully that went. And we were able to lobby for the cap that's put on the BOCES, which is stuck at about 30,000 for the last 20-something years. Will that have an impact on where our budgets go going forward?
Increase,
we can actually get them to give you the increase that you need?
Yeah, that'll increase your return on BOCES aid.
Okay.
Because you're only basically getting aided on up to $30,000 of salary.
Right,
so if you could increase that, it would.
Yeah, I think we were looking at, I think if we had done the actual raise increases like we do with every normal contract, it would be somewhere about $62,000 to $65,000 right now that we would be able to get aidable if we do it that way. And also, I think we spoke about possibly you guys were talking about adding the pre-K into your program. Are you guys still thinking about maybe in the next year or so doing that?
Yeah, so there's a very large gap in this county around pre-K disabled and students actually receiving the services that they need. So that would be our specific target moving forward. And obviously we're hoping that the extra funding with K over the next few years from the governor and the Department of Ed will help. And on the certification side of the house, we and Dwight was part of this. We met with a few politicians, and we're going to continue to push the idea of part-time certification for industry professionals. The more industry professionals we meet, the more we're hearing that they want to stay with their company, but they also want to work in the classroom. And there are states around us that allow part-time certification for that, where they're allowed to work up to about 400 hours in the classroom. So we presented a letter to a few politicians, including Lieutenant Governor Delgado. I just sent it over to the commissioner and a few of her departments. So I'm hoping we're going to be able to pilot that within the next year or so, just to close that gap even more.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, I make a comment. First of all, the building, I love the building. You guys did a fantastic job. And also, it's important to see the actual reduction in rentals. You know, from $700,000 to only $75,000. That's significant. So hopefully, they keep going to zero. So we'll hit it. But the building, it's excellent. I'd like to thank both of you first of all for the presentation, and superintendent for all the stuff, all the activities, all the various programs that you offer at BOCES. I think our students take advantage of that immensely, so thank you very much. Any other comments from any other board member? Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Monk, I always want to give you
Gonna get the hook again.
The hook again, but.
District Superintendent Bing Shatelik and Assistant Superintendent Metzger and to all of your senior team at BOCES, I personally would like to thank you and commend you for the work that you've done, specifically in the areas of career and technical education. You have opened up many doors at the state level as well as with local business, and we are very, very proud to partner with you as we have in the past and look forward to continuing in the future to prepare today's students for tomorrow's workforce. And you have the facilities and you have the equipment and you have the connections to be able to make that happen. And we have the students who want to see that happen and want to be a part of it. So again, I want to thank you for your leadership at the state level. And I'd like to thank you for the work that you've done at Dutchess BOCES. We're very, very proud to partner with you. And thank you, as President Lumi indicated, for all of the necessary programs that are going to be even more necessary as we move on over the next 5 to 10 years to, again, prepare our students for tomorrow's workforce. So thank you.
Thank you. We're not there yet, but you have 13 school districts that are all working collaboratively. It's going to be a good journey. Thank you all.
You're doing a great job. Keep it up.
Thank you.
The superintendent's way of saying things I couldn't possibly say. So thank you, Dr. Bond, for your excellent comments. I'm serious. Yeah, I guess so. 6.03, curriculum committee presentation, technology electives, Director Art Schouten. Art, it's all yours.
Thank you. I had to switch sides of the camera down there. Good evening, everybody. As you know, my name is Art Schouten, Director of Instructional Technology, Library Media Services, and Career and Technology Education. This evening, I'm just going to briefly go over our technology education programs 7-12. 7th and 8th grade programs are a mandatory exploratory. In this course, every student takes tech ed for a section of the year, both 7th and 8th grade. This is, for many students, it's their first chance to actually use power tools, tape measures, more traditional tools, hammers, screwdrivers, etc. We try to develop a program that allows the students to explore a variety of different techniques, a variety of different topics, a variety of projects that you might have seen in the past, including model rockets, CO2 race cars, working with computers for programming, etc. We are trying to also develop a lot of soft skill into this with creative thinking, decision-making, critical thinking, problem solving. The students have a lot of flexibility in some of their projects where they get to work on similar tasks, but creating different projects within that similar task. So it might be a woodworking project, but they're doing different projects within that woodworking. The skills are still the same, but the project is somewhat different. Some of these programs are designed around a series of topics, including communication skills, biotech, transportation, energy, power, manufacturing, and construction systems. We try to make sure we cover a large variety of topics because seeing that every 7th and 8th grader is taking it, we try to touch upon all their interests or help them explore those interests. Many of these students might not know what their interests are at that point in time, or that they even have an interest until they come into our shops and have that opportunity. As we've discussed in the past, welding and residential electric have become part of this exploratory rotation. Students now have the opportunity to explore residential electric in the 7th grade and welding in the 8th. These programs both started down at Van Wyck under the direction of Dr. Shukat. He came up with an idea and said, hey, I want to try this. What do you think? And we ran with it. We're also looking at including plumbing into that rotation next year. Here at WAP Junior, our welding area just got completed a few weeks ago. So we are now working on getting the final tools into that and stage so that we can start like a soft opening as we explore using that space. But this week on Friday is a conference day, and my
department will be there working on it, prepping the space, working together, both Van Wyck and WAP Junior, on their curriculum so they can start aligning the goals and learning from one another during that time. We'll also be incorporating that residential electric and plumbing into that as well for next year. Real quickly, just a couple slides showing off the different projects that the students have made over the years. You see there, bottom center, bridge building. It's one of my favorites. I love going in, watching just how much weight these things can hold until they collapse. Some of these structures are absolutely gorgeous, but it's more fun when they hold up 25, 30 books and then inevitably collapse, but it's one of my favorite. That lower right piece, the Labor's Maze, I believe that might have been a piece of the old WAP Junior bleachers that we took out many years ago. That lumber went to very good use throughout the district, and if you go around this building, we also made all the classroom number signs out of that old material. Here's a number of students working over at Van Wyck. A lot of this you'll see is the electrical program in the upper left and lower right corner, where students are learning how to wire light switches, outlets, and light fixtures. Once our students leave junior high and move into the high schools, they have a number of opportunities. One thing that I like to point out when we talk about the high school technology education programs, these are entirely elective programs. For the most part, the students do not need any of these courses to graduate. They are there because they enjoy taking these courses. As you'll see here, there are quite a few, and you'll see that a lot of them are half-year courses. We do this on purpose so that we can maximize the number of courses being offered in a given school year with the number of staff that we have. So you'll see in there we have woods, advanced woods, metals, construction systems, manufacturing systems, technical drawing, transportation, basic electricity. And you'll see the very lowest one there that is now bolded. That is our Winter Circle project, which we'll discuss a bit more. And Dr. Bonk and I had quite a bit of fun last Friday checking out the program when the Winter Circle was here with us. Some of the equipment we have here in our traditional classes, the lower left is our wood CNC, the upper right is our metal CNC machine. The wooden CNC down below, which is also in that upper center, you'll recognize as some of the signs that we have made for board gifts as well as retirement gifts. We also have a number of other courses outside of our traditional construction programs, such as computer design courses, and then also our pre-engineering engineering programs through Project Lead the Way. You'll see more so with our pre-engineering engineering, these are more full year courses. However, our computer design, again, we try to mix it up so that students can take 2 courses within that particular given year. Just again, a couple examples of the different things that we run through our CAD design and drawing for production, robotics, and principles of engineering. And yes, that is a mousetrap race car in the lower center. Project Lead the Way allows our students to also get credits through RIT. Students must have a minimum average of an 85 in the course. They have to have a minimum score that is set by Project Lead the Way for their given exam. They will receive 3 credits through that program. The course credits are $225 per course if the student decides that they want to get that credit. Their credit-bearing courses are below there. They're principles of engineering, civil engineering and architecture, digital electronics, and engineering and design for development. There we go. And the newest piece that has gained a lot of buzz in our district over the past couple months is the Winter Circle project. Students next year that will be in this course, both at John Jay Ketchum, will be responsible to build a Factory 5 kit vehicle from start to finish in a given school year. Not only are they building this course, but it's also a competition. There are currently 6 school districts in New York State that will be competing against one another next year. 2 of them are within our district. The students will learn technical knowledge and skills on how to assemble a car. They're literally, this thing is showing up in boxes, in pieces, and they have to go from start to finish and put it all together. Students will be graded on design, execution, safety, performance, and presentation of the finished car. The other side of this is they also have to market the car. So half of the points earned are the car build itself. The other half is how we market that. Now we have students that are going to be phenomenal builders, and we're going to have students that are fantastic social media salespeople. So in addition to bringing this into our technology education programs, We will also be bringing this into our business ed programs. We're going to be working hand in hand with those students, as well as graphic design, photography, web design. We're going to pull in a whole group of students. They are going to be basically running their own business as they build and market this vehicle for the competition. What does a Factory 5 car look like? For you car enthusiasts, it looks exactly like the Mustang Shelby Cobra Roadster. As I said, I should have put those pictures in. I created this presentation prior to Friday. This past Friday, the Winner's Circle came down. They met with our students at both of John Jay and Ketchum to give an overview and presentation.
And there are pictures available on the website, WCSDNY.org. I saw one on the homepage today.
Yes. Mrs. C did a great job coming down, getting some photos. There's a whole bunch of photos on Twitter as well. They came down, they gave a presentation to both tech ed and business ed students about what the program is, how it runs, how they're going to come in and work with our students on a monthly basis. But we also got to see one of the cars, and they actually let the kids fire it up and sit in the car. And
Right there?
yeah, I cannot confirm or deny. But everybody that wanted to hop in the car had an opportunity to hop in the car. This is a fantastic program. Our students are really looking forward to it. I think it is a great opportunity. The Winner's Circle has realized that there is a need within the racing industry because that entire field is getting older and older, and they don't have a younger generation coming in. So they have developed a program to help build that. And Dyson Racing, which is right up by the old BOCES building on Route 44, is leading the way in developing that. And that lower right corner is actually Chris Dyson from Dyson Racing, who is a Dutchess County graduate from Arlington, unfortunately. But he is driving the car, and he has had us up to his shop a number of times, which has been phenomenal, and I can't wait for the kids to see. Myself, Dr. Bonk, and our tech ed teachers have had an amazing time up there. It's a great opportunity. Thank you. Questions? Seeing none.
Does anybody have any questions for Art? Any questions at all? Mr. Morgan?
Director Schoen, thank you very much. We appreciated the presentation, and I know several of my board colleagues were impressed with the I believe it's the home electricity and wiring module that's presented at Van Wyck. As a person who is perfectly capable of changing a switch plate and not much more in my own home, that's a very, I think, valuable unit. Is that going to be available at both our junior high schools, or what does this Board of Education need to do to allow you to make that available to both junior high schools is my first question.
No, in working with Dr. Bonk and Dr. Cardwell, we have made plans to bring that in for next year, and we have budgeted accordingly for the 23-24 school year.
That's good news. I'm happy to hear that. Thank you for being so responsive. I have another question which you may not be prepared to speak to, so I'd be happy to get a follow-up email on this. But you mentioned that Project Lead the Way, that the classes are eligible for college credit at RIT. How are those classes treated similarly, to AP classes, or are they different because it's a different sponsoring organization, both in terms of how they're treated within the curriculum and scheduling process, and how they're weighted in student GPAs?
We're actually in the process of reviewing that and trying to realign them both to be the same as we speak.
Thank you.
Keith, thank you for the presentation. Will you have a process where you can follow the students, the participants, to see they take, how many classes that they take, or maybe when they get to high school or when they graduate, if they're gonna make that a career. So maybe expanding the program, if it's that successful, that students will build their career off of these classes.
Yeah, every year we try to expand. Our courses are solely based on enrollment and how many students sign up for all those courses. My TCs do a fantastic job tracking those students throughout the entire program. Specifically, John Jay, every year we do put out a list of all the students that are graduating from our tech ed program and which courses or colleges, excuse me, that they're going to and what they're studying usually in terms of engineering.
Any other comments? Art, I want to thank you for the presentation. I know that many of these courses are elective. I sincerely hope that every student in Wabash Central School District has an opportunity to take these courses. And that these are life skill courses. And I think it's extremely important that they take them as many as possible from 7th grade on. I've seen the program at Venman with Viking. I'm glad that the same type of programs are going at Wabash Junior High. So thank you for your effort and all your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our illustrious leader wants to say a few brief words. Go ahead, Dr.
Thank you. I'll try to say a few. Director Schouten, I want to thank you for all of your efforts. You, Assistant Director Luzzy, and all of the TCs have been exceptionally busy over the last year. And many of the programs and projects that we've been able to bring into our district to provide for our students would not have been possible if it wouldn't have been for your efforts, Mr. Luzzy's efforts, the TC's enthusiasm, and the follow-up that you have had with our local businesses as well as our industries. We just had a presentation from BOCES. You see how we're working with them, the Industrial Manufacturing Boot Camp. This is one of many collaborative efforts that we plan on working with BOCES on. The Winter Circle Project. This is just the beginning of where we need to go as a school district, again, to provide our students for their future. It's not necessarily a four-year college degree. We have businesses that have been very, very clear that they want to stay in Dutchess County. They want to continue in Dutchess County. They want to expand in Dutchess County, but they're having difficulty finding workers. And many of these jobs do not necessarily require a four-year degree. They require specific skills and specific training. We had on semi and IBM over at John Jay High School, I believe it was on Friday, as part of a collaborative effort that we have with them. They came in, they spoke with our students, they talked about engineering, extremely important. We're starting these programs at the middle level, and I see Dr. Shukat is here and Principal Thompson is here. We're going to continue to do more of that at the middle level because you've got to start somewhere, and it's not too early to start. And in addition to that, we are even beginning at our elementary schools where we have our businesses coming in and speaking to our teachers and speaking to our students about the careers that are available to develop an awareness and develop an interest. So again, we are certainly on the right path, and I want to thank you and everyone else within the department for all of your efforts. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Buck. 7.1 consent agenda resolutions. Anybody want to remove anything from consent agenda? Seeing none.
Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby approve the following consent agenda items as stated. 7.02, 7.03, 7.04, 7.05, 7.06, 7.07, 7.08, 7.09, and 7.10.
Motion Marie, second. Cheryl, all in favor? Unanimous. 8.1, approval of the 2023-2024 school calendar.
Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby adopt the 2023-2024 school calendar as submitted by the Assistant Superintendent for administration and information systems and recommended by the superintendent of schools.
Motion Marie, second. Vicky, discussion. Cheryl.
Yes, one thing I forgot to check in looking over the calendar, how many snow days are built into next year's school calendar?
5.
Thank you.
Eddie?
I just want to remind the public that although we are approving the calendar today, this calendar will change several times. So just want to let the community be aware that they should check back periodically. There will be changes moving forward. We always seem to have a lot of chatter within the community. I didn't know that this was switched to this day or that day. We're approving the calendar today, but there will be several changes before September comes and probably changes after September as well. Thank you.
There was a letter that we got from, I believe, a teacher at John Jay High School regarding a possible date. I think it had to do with the eclipse or whatever. Was any consideration given to that?
I can speak to that. Very, very appreciative for the request. However, in order to do that, it would mean that our BOCES students would have to be off for 2 consecutive weeks. And it would not be consistent with the BOCES schedule because one of the suggestions was to move the spring break. Needless to say, we get a lot of requests for days off. They all are very, very well thought and well intentioned and make a lot of sense, but you know, we have constraints that we have to work in. We work with BOCES. We want as consistent as a schedule as possible. And based upon where that date fell, and there have been requests to have probably anywhere from Mr. Lokema, at least over 5 days that are currently not recognized to have off as holidays. Okay, so needless to say, there are certain days that we are required to have off, and we take a look at what those required days are. We take a look at the BOCES calendar, and then we make a determination as to what is in the best interest of all of our students and our families in our district. And in this case, it was something that we simply cannot entertain.
Those in favor?
All those in favor of the calendar as stated? Unanimous? 8.02, approval of the new club charter, John Jay Stock Investment Club.
Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby approve the new club charter for the Stock Investing Club at John Jay High School as submitted.
Motion, Cheryl, second, Marie. All in favor?
Discussion?
No discussion, I'm sorry, by all means.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that we all take this vote very seriously. This is being put forth in accordance with school district policy that's based on New York State education law in terms of student organizations. And we should always remember that within the mission statement of the Wapanger Central School District, we aim to empower all of our students and all of their passions. Several preceding boards of education have approved clubs, including an organization at John Jay, and there's a counterpart at Roy C. Ketchum that organize, for example, our Veterans Day and our Memorial Day celebrations. Some may criticize those boards of education for having approved those clubs because they're pacifists. But I think that those are good student organizations that allow the students to be involved in the community. Similarly, a past Board of Education has approved a club at John Jay called the Praying Patriots, and Roy C. Ketchum has a similar OMG club. Now, we may have members of our community that are critical of those clubs because they don't think that that anything associated with praying or God should even be recognized in a public school. but yet the freedoms of our country allow for the freedom of religion, which is not to be confused with the freedom from religion. Additionally, John Jay has a gender sexuality alliance, and Royce C. Ketchum has a pride club. We have found very recently that there are people critical of those clubs, but I'm glad that we have those clubs. Despite any controversy or appearance that there are people within the community that do not support the empowerment of all of our students. And now we turn to the Stock and Investing Club. I'm sure we can find people, if we look hard enough, that will be critical of this club because of quote unquote corporate welfare. Or because of ESG concerns about some of the corporations that the model portfolio that this club may invest in. But as with all the clubs that I mentioned and many others, I look forward to supporting this resolution and I'm thankful that it's been offered. And just for clarity, Dr. Bond, one question. I believe it's safe to say that both at Royce C. Ketchum and at John Jay, there are well in excess of 20 active student organizations at both of our high schools. Is that true?
Many more than that. I don't have the number, but it's.
John, I got the list.
Mr. Lokema, any idea? Anyone from the senior team? I would say it's probably somewhere near 60.
I got the two.
Between the two schools.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
We're going to do a countdown here. Mr. Lumi is a former mathematician. Once a mathematician, always a mathematician. He's a modern day Copernicus. So he should already know the answer before he has to add that. 85 clubs and activities. And
thank you,
stated,
Dr. Bond, by way of Mr. Sid.
Sure.
8 clubs at John Jay High School, this is 49, whatever.
Very good. Thank you.
Cheryl.
I'm glad to see that students at John Jay who have an interest in investing in finance will get this opportunity. I always like to see that there's balance in the district, and I know that RCK has had this opportunity for several years. So I would like to see the John Jay students be able to have the same opportunity.
I want to thank Mr. Seid for taking the initiative to actually create this particular club. I think in today's society, it's extremely important, I think, to be aware of the stock market, how it works, and be able to make sound investments. So I think it's a great club. So thank you, Mr. Seid, for taking initiative to do this presentation. Any other questions? Yeah, John.
Just in accordance with our district policies and procedures, Mr. Seid will not be earning any stipend for doing that for the first year. So again,
the first year is no stipend.
Thank you to him for doing that, just as you said, President Umia.
All in favor? Unanimous. 8.3 nominations for BOCES, Board of Education.
Resolved that the Wappinger Central School District Board of Education does hereby nominate.
Are there any nominations? Peggy?
Antoinette Hales to serve on the Board of Education of the Dutchess County Board of Cooperative Educational Services.
Is there a second?
Is there a second on that nomination?
Yes, there is. All those in favor of that nomination? Raise your hands.
Just to put her on the back.
So I understand. Are there any other nominations for the position? Nominate as you want.
Resolved that the Board.
Sorry, Peggy, I'm sorry. Alberta?
I can't hear you.
Oh, okay, and her name was Antoinette Haynes, and it was a second, and I think it was unanimous. And Kate second the nomination, and it was unanimous. Are there any other nominations?
Resolved that the Board of Wappinger Central School District Board of Education does hereby nominate Michael Reel to serve on the Board of Education of the Dutchess County Board of Cooperative Educational Services.
Is there a second on that nomination? Yes, there is. All those in favor? Once again, unanimous.
Resolved that the Wappinger Central School District Board of Education does hereby nominate.
Are there any other nominations? I will nominate Michael Reel. I'm sorry, Thomas Hurley. Mr. Hurley,
Thomas Hurley.
is there a second on that? Marie, second.
To serve on the Board of Education of the Dutchess County Board of Cooperative Educational Services.
There was a second by Marie. All those in favor? 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Unanimous once again. I don't think, are there any other nominations? I don't think there's any more nominations. So, Pete said, you got the names, I believe, Roberta?
Thank you.
Okay. 8.04. First reading of policies, effective 7/1/23. It's the silent policies. Once again, to the first readings. Please, those interested, read those policies. Any questions, please address it to committee chairman.
Yes,
Thank you.
I have already received some suggestions. And if anybody else has any, please send them to me before the first Wednesday in April, which will be our next policy committee meeting.
Can I just make a quick comment? Just so that everybody is aware, on this policy, it's an existing policy. We're just firming it up and dealing with some of the facility areas on it. And just so we understand, the current policy that we have in place, as it is written right now, will stay in effect until June 30th. And this policy, even if when we approve it or whatever we decide to do at the next meeting, it will not go into effect until July 1st of next year, of 2023.
Yes, thank you.
Peggy?
Mr. Slowshower just reminded me that spring break is the first week in April, so it will be the second Wednesday, the 12th.
Thank you for consulting the school calendar.
All right, are there any additions to the agenda that board members want to make? See none? Okay, excuse me, the superintendent would like to make one comment.
As I'm sure many of you are aware, there's an impending storm that will be moving into the region. It's expected to move in later this evening. My phone has been ringing quite a bit here during the meeting. A decision will be made. I will be making a decision no later than 8 o'clock in regards to the status of school tomorrow, although I can tell you based on everything that I'm seeing, tomorrow looks like it's going to be very nasty and a difficult day for travel. So you can expect in the event that the district is planning on closing tomorrow, you can expect an announcement around 8 o'clock. Again, I will be reviewing the forecast and having additional conversation between now and then. So thank you.
Thank you.
And be safe.
That's a brief comment. Really appreciate it. Are there any motion to adjourn? Excuse me, there's no comments. There's nobody there. Motion to adjourn? Make a motion, sorry. There is no public comment. There's nobody there. Okay. Is there anybody that, Alberta,
No one's
that makes some public comment on
No one's
non-agenda
signed.
items? Seeing none? Do I want to make a motion to adjourn? Peggy? Second, Mr. Spencer, all those in favor? Unanimous. Okay, Christ.